It's high-speed business at a record pace.
You get 70 miles per gallon on this fucker. This is shit that made the castle.
Forever that we did it all for the glory of love. Welcome to the Fast Ones. Just singing a little Peter Cetera to get us into the mood.
Oh man,
Talking
anything
Formula
better.
One.
There's
We're talking about love ballads from the 80s.
power ballads are us this week.
Mike
on
and
the
I
Fast
were
Ones.
getting stoked for this episode by going through some great 80s love songs.
Yeah,
And we wound up with the Glory of Love
"Glory of Love."
by Peter Cetera.
Peter Cetera, the song that broke up Chicago.
Mike, you are best friends with the band Chicago.
I was raised.
You are a gold record
Yes.
recording artist with the band Chicago. You sang on an album for
did.
Chicago and
I did.
got a gold record. Why isn't that on the wall?
It is during Christmas.
Okay.
It's a Christmas decoration in my home.
It's a Christmas album.
And that's exactly why. It's because it was a Christmas album.
Nice.
So we had recorded a child's chorus with all of the kids of Chicago, all of like the band members' lineage, their offspring.
They're actual kids.
They're actual
and
children.
there's like 20 members of Chicago.
There are a billion members.
It's the Wu-Tang and Chicago who have the most members.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Pretty
and
undocumented as well.
it's just loosey goose.
Yeah.
Who's in the band today? We need a trombone player.
It's actually lesser known, but there is a name generator for Chicago members
Really?
as well. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, dang it. You could have played it off. So, and then you,
Yes, and then myself.
as a kid who didn't have a family member in Chicago.
I might as well have. My dad
Yeah.
was practically in the band.
Okay, he played Shaker.
He thought he was.
What did you, did he?
No. My dad was just a huge fan, and they came on my dad's show, and they performed, and they invited him to do, does anybody know what time it is?
Tool time.
Yeah. Tim the Toolman Taylor theme song.
Yeah.
No, but one of their songs, and he,
Oh, that's a song.
and Beginnings.
Okay.
Which are two Chicago songs that Robert Lamb sang. So he subbed in for Robert on the show and sang it with the band.
Oh, okay.
And then hit it off with the guys and became friends with them. So I was
Nice.
I did grow up with the
Very
band members of
nice.
Chicago.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about Peter Cetera and the Glory of Love.
Well, there's so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
So much more than this show is prepared to hear.
Yeah,
But I will tell you.
thank you.
So David Foster is a music producer, really famous music producer, especially from that era.
Okay.
Was helping Chicago through that phase. So like Hard Habit to Break and Hard to Say I'm Sorry and a lot of these kind of big Chicago pop anthems.
This is like the one band I don't know a lot about.
Well, you should dive a little deeper, Maxwell.
I mean, okay, yeah.
There's some good tracks. If you like Glory of Love, you like Chicago.
Yeah.
So, but he convinced Peter that he didn't need the band to record this track. And as you know, was the Karate Kid 2
Which is wild.
song.
One of the best love anthems of all time.
Of the
And they're
80s.
like, what movie should we put this to? How about this Jersey kid who learns karate in California?
Ed goes to Okinawa with his apartment complex repairman
Yeah.
to visit Japan.
They're like, Glory of Love.
yeah, perfect
That'll
song.
be the theme song for the movie.
Perfect. Slam dunk. It is one of the best
And then-
like movie anthems ever.
For real, yeah. That and Wild Wild West.
Totally. That movie's awful though. I guess they're both in a similar boat. They're
Yeah.
not great films. But my brother Dave would be kicking and
I
screaming.
know.
right
There's
now.
a lot of Karate Kid fans out there who are
Yeah.
just going to kill you now.
You know, Karate Kid 1's great.
Karate Kid 1 is great.
Yeah, Karate Kid 2 is pushing it.
What is the
Karate
Cobra
Kid-
Kai?
Yeah.
The first season of Cobra Kai is pretty rad.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
so
enjoyable.
Saved it.
So-
Saved the rest of the franchise.
But anyway, so he convinced Peter to do it, to
Okay.
record the song without the band.
Okay.
And when the band found out, of course, they freaked because they're like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
like this is the biggest release ever," and obviously caused a huge rift in the band. They broke up with Peter,
Yeah.
and hired a new lead singer and kept going.
And Peter Cetera kept putting out the hits.
He kept cranking on as a solo artist, and then Chicago continued on their own path.
Dang.
And that was the divorce of those two entities. But when they got inducted to the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
recently, a few years ago,
Okay.
and they were like, "All right, like let's settle our differences and perform as a band because this is our moment.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna be inducted to the Hall of Fame." And Peter said to the band, "I will only perform with you guys if we perform Glory of Love." And the band said, "Get effed," and they didn't play together.
What a move. What a move.
Peter's ego is insane,
gosh.
is huge. So
You're bringing up the song that you
Literally
wrote
broke
to
up
break
the
up the band. That is wild.
unbelievable.
Well, I believe that sometimes there are balances in the universe. If there is good that happens, evil must also happen. It balances out.
Right.
And so for the world to have the glory of love brought into existence, the breaking up of the band in a way needed to also happen.
Yeah, there's
give and take.
It's
It's the monkey paw. Like you can't have a perfect song.
No.
Without also paying the price for it.
Yep. Yeah, I think
And
you're
yeah,
right.
Glory of Love is the perfect song.
It's a pretty perfect 80s ballad. It's definitely.
yeah.
Henry Wallace, good morning to you, my
Wow,
friend.
good morning, Henry.
4 a.m. in long lost England.
Yeah, if we'll
Wherever it is.
wherever England is. Yeah, welcome Henry, and welcome if you're new to the show. My name is Max. This is Mike.
Oh, yeah. We haven't
This
even
is
done
our
the
intro. Is talking about Chicago, the band.
I mean, it's a good intro.
It was a very good intro,
Yeah.
and if you aren't aware of 80s pop culture, then
You've come to
this
the
is
right place. Yeah.
because it feeds into all things Formula One.
I mean, as does all
That does all. Everything always comes to the pinnacle of Formula One.
of.
They say Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport. It is the pinnacle of life.
It is just the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
end, full stop,
Yeah.
as they say in England.
I heard that they remade The Glory of Love, recorded it with The Weeknd for the F1 movie with Brad Pitt.
That would be maybe great.
Honestly, I'm gonna cry in that movie. But if you wanted me bawling ugly tears, you put that movie when whatever happens at the end.
I just don't like. What would he go just like full falsetto and go like Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
if Michael had recorded it,
Yeah.
it would be tremendous.
It'd be amazing. Yeah. It'd be
but if The
very
Weeknd did, it would be like dark somehow.
but he would give it an 80s vibe.
He would give it an
he'd
80s
be
vibe
true
by
to the
bringing up
spirit.
cocaine, and you're like, I don't remember this line. This line
great.
wasn't in the song.
True to Formula One as well. So welcome, Henry. Welcome to anyone else who's joining us.
Yes, thank you for
yeah,
joining.
Like I said, this is the fast ones. We're just coming hot off the weekend from the Imola Emilio Romagno
artist.
Grand Prix.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a longer name for it. Every
It
year
is.
they
It's
talk
ridiculous.
about how long the name is, and they add more sponsors onto it.
Yeah. Emilia Romagna.
We're
is-
still hoping Taco Bell gets added to that
We're
sponsor name.
still pushing
the Emilio
for it.
Romano Taco Bell Grand Prix.
The Emilia Romagna Yo Quiero Taco Bell Cheesy Gordita Crunch with the chicken nuggies Grand Prix.
Very Italian.
Yes. Send me a piece of that corn Grand Prix. It's a little more Nacho
Get that
Libre.
corn out of my face. I tried to join Henry's. He did a little live reaction today from the race, but I was at work and couldn't listen, so I was just watching. And
This is a really disappointing story.
yeah, nothing to report there. But it looked really cool.
But
It looked
thanks, Henry, for
engaging.
being here.
Looked engaging.
Max tried to be there for yours.
Thanks for being there. Anyway, let's dive into it.
Yeah.
First off, talk about our favorite team, Haas.
Yes. Disappointing weekend.
Disappointing weekend. Disappointing also because Ollie got kind of like screwed in qualifying,
Yeah.
which sucked.
I mean, he crossed the line.
Crossed the line and no red flag, right?
It's one of those
Who was
things.
it that crashed out? Was it the Yuki Tsunoda crash or was it the Colapinto crash?
I think it was Colapinto on that
Yuki
one.
Tsunoda, was it free practice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because he qualified.
Yeah. So Colapinto
What?
crashes during qualifying.
Right.
And Ollie Behrman setting a great time crosses the line, but they red flagged it. But by the time he crossed it, they hadn't like thrown up all the signals at least or whatever.
Yeah.
At least that's what he said.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, just keep the time.
I feel like a
don't
lot of
know.
the time this is one of those things where it's a discrepancy in how the stewards and how the sport reacts to certain things.
Yeah.
And look, if you don't believe that some of this is real, then you haven't watched Formula One long enough.
Yeah.
But the truth is that not every team is treated the same way. Mm-hmm. And it seems as though like the meatball flag with Magnussen,
Yeah.
this kind of thing seems to happen to Haas,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like red flag. Oh, who's on a flying lap? Ollie Behrman, who cares? Red flag.
Yeah.
And you're like, why?
If it was Max, if it
Yeah,
was Lando.
If it was Charles Leclerc, if it was
Yeah.
anybody that was on a top tier team, they would have for sure been like, it was allowed. But
Yeah, the red flag was at the last half of the first half of the lap.
and I know that we joke on this show a lot about the British bias. That's more the media. I'm not saying that that's like the media is the one that are usually like, beautiful boy Lando,
yeah.
slinging that car around the corner.
Bringing it home
It's enough to make a grown man
for the boys back home. Doing it for all of Mother England.
It reminds me of a song I once heard. I don't know. I'm not going to go any further. But point being that the media, the press is the ones that seem to be a little bit over the top about it.
Yeah.
But the FIA and the stewards, it depends on the race weekend. It doesn't seem like that has much of a bias because we know that Ollie Behrman is obviously British as well. So
Yeah, so it's hard to defend that, but whatever.
yeah. So it just seemed like it was a very unfortunate and somewhat could have gone a different direction if they wanted it to.
Yeah. I think, not as exciting of a race weekend for Haas.
Yeah.
Because during the race, Esteban, his power unit, whatever, just stopped working.
Yeah.
I don't know what the official call was, but he just pulled off to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, bad
Henry
weekend
said-
for Haas.
Henry said Ollie was robbed.
Yeah, Ollie was robbed.
And he said the only thing that could have been worse is if both cars had crashed. And I agree. I'm glad that we don't have a lot of repair work to do.
For real. For
So-
real. That's been a good thing this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Ollie's not crashing the car.
No.
So good on him.
Really consistent.
And then getting points.
Yeah.
I think upward trajectory, down weekend, but continual upward trajectory
Yeah.
throughout the season. So
Hey.
not getting too disappointed.
Yeah. It's definitely, and it, last year we were competing really closely with Williams. Mm-hmm. But this year, let's be serious, Williams is competing with Ferrari. And
Williams is crushing it.
kudos to them.
Yeah.
Wish that was us.
Yep.
We could wish for that. Mm-hmm. That's a humble wish.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think any of us saw this coming either. So kudos to them.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're definitely going up against Alpine and Racing Bulls and
Sauber. Kick Sauber. Aston Martin-ish.
Aston Martin with these new upgrades look like they're
They came out swinging.
super competitive to the
Yeah.
Ferrari. So we'll get around to that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, anyways, I agree with you. I think it doesn't put too much of a dark mark on our season. Just a bad race.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing to be too sad about.
Yeah, P6 is very much in the cards, as what Henry said, and I agree. I definitely think it's still possible.
Yeah, for sure.
So, outside of Haas, what else did you feel?
I mean,
I might know a little more. I'm going to spoil this for the fans. I might know more about your race weekend from a text message that you sent earlier today.
I mean, yeah, it was. You can spill the beans, but I could also be honest. I don't mind telling the truth. I watched the race and I fell asleep after the virtual safety car was over.
Right.
And then I woke up to Max crossing the finish line.
Yeah.
And so, from my perspective, I mean, I kind of learned what happened, but like from my perspective, Max had a great launch.
Yeah.
Start of the race happened, and Oscar was looking good, but then Max, it was like Max was in fast motion, and everyone else wasn't in that first 1-2 corner like
Yeah.
swoopy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible. And then he just stayed out in front the whole time.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind because all we've seen this year is the McLarens disappearing into the distance and holding off the other teams.
Yeah, definitely.
And to see the Red Bull jump up like that, I was like, they haven't been like this all year.
No. I mean, I think that there's a couple of takeaways from that exact thought.
Yeah.
And one of them being that I think that the regulations I'm glad that we're about to have a big overhaul. Mm-hmm. I think that unfortunately, these cars have been really competitive and really fun, but we're seeing that the dirty air effect that we were trying to remove is back. And a lot of the drivers talked about it with the fins on the side of the floor and just some of the games that they're playing with the rear wings where those were supposed to be curved and round and now they have big gaps and stuff. A lot of that stuff is playing into the type of air turbulence that comes off of the car.
Yeah.
It makes it more difficult to follow.
Gotcha.
So Max Verstappen in traffic, no way he sets the laps that he was setting as the leader. So
It's all good about getting up in
it's
front.
all about being in clear air.
Yeah.
So the second that he got out front, he had enough advantage to just be able to get out there and make huge gains, which is a lot of what McLaren has done
It's
this season.
McLaren's whole theory this
Right.
year. Yeah.
But McLaren also has the tire degradation that's
Locked. Yeah.
way better on their car than anybody else's. So now that we've talked about the aero regulation, I think the other thing is too is this race had kind of an interesting start. I do think that I haven't heard any interviews from Oscar Piastri on what was going on. You heard George Russell come over the radio and be like, "What is he doing?" And a part of me wonders if Oscar strategically let Max past, knowing that he didn't want to crash. So he was kind of like, Max can go through.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold up George Russell.
Yeah.
Mercedes isn't really going to be competitive with my car.
Yeah.
I don't want to get taken out because Max is going to be overly aggressive for the win,
Okay.
and let him go past.
Yeah.
And if McLaren had played their strategy correctly,
Okay.
which they did not,
They had a weird race.
their strategy absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
They screwed the race for Oscar Piastri. But if they had done it right,
Yeah.
he would have won the race.
Okay.
But so I think Oscar in his mind was
it was like a long game play.
right.
Yeah.
Like, don't fight Max into turn one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have, that's a good chance he's going to take me out of this race because
Yeah.
he wants, he's had missed points opportunities. This is the only way he gets back in the fight is to take Oscar out.
Yeah.
So Oscar's like, play it safe.
Beat him in strategy.
Even finishing second is still a huge
Still
win.
great, yeah.
Right. So, but with strategic, advantages of being able to go longer on the tire and some of that stuff that McLaren has been known for, that's what I expected.
Yeah.
But they pitted Oscar on like lap 12.
They were pitting people pretty early.
And then everyone else's tires went into the distance way better. And so
Yeah,
Oscar had to pass
really weird call.
everybody.
Really weird call. Send him
And-
back to the middle of the traffic.
Right. And
Yeah.
I will say, I'm not mad about it as a viewer.
Yeah.
Because I got to see Oscar freaking put on a show. The dude was passing everybody. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is so fun.
Yeah.
And then when the VSC came out, this is another moment where I'm kind of like, who was the stewards? And I haven't researched this, but who were the stewards for this race?
What do you mean? Like, what would you have preferred the call be? Because
So we had,
Esteban Ocon's car had just stopped.
and we
He
had,
pulled it off to the side.
right. And we had two of those. Kimi Antonelli and Esteban both had engine failures, both at the same exact spot on the racetrack. But the first one was a VSC, and then the second one was a safety
It was a full
car.
safety car.
What's the difference?
Exactly. Yeah.
But the VSC mid-race made it so Max was enormously in the lead
Yeah.
with a massive tire advantage.
Because for a VSC, like a virtual safety car, they don't like stack up like they do for a
No.
safety car.
They freeze.
Why?
They
I
freeze
mean,
the gaps.
They
You're-
freeze the gaps. What does that mean?
So technically, you're not supposed to make any gains under the virtual safety car,
Okay.
and you're supposed to run at 40%,
Okay.
and you have to keep it within that delta,
Okay.
so that way you don't get a penalty for taking an advantage during the VSC. But
Okay.
this is so hard to monitor.
Yeah.
It's so hard to
because
monitor.
gaps in between drivers are monitored down to like the 10th of a second,
Right, and-
thousandth of a second.
And when you're running at 40% speed, that's not a 30-second gap.
yeah, are you holding the driving line? Are you trying to hit the apex?
This is one of those things where I'm like, it's complete BS. I want them to do away with the virtual safety car. I think it's garbage.
Agreed, because full-on safety cars are always more exciting when you have a restart,
They're so much better.
and everyone would prefer that for sure.
Yeah.
What's the chat going off on?
Henry says Ocon was a lot closer to the recovery exit, so they just pushed him out. Henry, I don't care. I don't care.
Just
Doesn't matter.
firing back at the chat.
Yeah, I don't like. Thank you for participating, but shut up.
Are you excited to come on our show sometime, Henry?
No, but the point is for me is that I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, like the recovery road or whatever. The point is that I'm like, a VSC is a free pit stop. It's a garbage rule because Max is getting a pit stop that's a 30-second time loss under 40% power, and this immeasurable time gap that's like, how do you even see if a gap is gained or not?
Yeah.
And then you're saying, okay, now here, everyone go, it's ending.
Yeah.
And you got a pit stop that didn't even take away the gap that you were afraid of losing. Like, anyways, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's a really stupid policy.
When was the virtual safety car introduced?
That's a great question. Worth researching.
Yeah, for sure.
Kevin?
You don't need. Yeah, of course. Where the heck is Kevin? He's in town.
I know.
Is he?
He invited me to a potluck tonight, and I totally
And you're like,
was
you're
like,
it's podcast night.
dude, it's not potluck night, it's podcast night.
Podcast night. Yeah.
Henry says no pitting under VSC. That is a good solution.
Oh, okay. Interesting solution.
Yeah. I'm open to it. I just think the VSC is
Is
kind
there
of
a
just.
setting on their car that they switch on for virtual safety car?
I'm sure there
Or
is.
do they just like lay off the gas pedal a little bit?
I think that one would be horrific if that was the rule.
Because it'd be so inconsistent.
Yeah, but the truth is that it's like if you're leaving it to the teams to decide what is 40%, they're all making gains. You know what I mean? It's a complete trash idea.
Because McLaren's probably like, well, we've actually been running our cars at 80% this whole season.
yeah, right.
So we're just going to.
So 40% is actually 60%
40% of our actual 100% is like.
That's what I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
you just like somewhat garbage.
Yeah.
It's trash. Follow the safety car if there's an accident.
Yeah, and it's always fun when that safety car comes out. We see that driver like slamming around in that whatever car it is.
Yeah.
And then I think more people.
Burn Mylander. And
More people like instantly go into the pits for a safety car.
Right, and so you get these
You
hectic
get
pit stops.
shuffles and
yeah.
like it's a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
And then to have the actual like stacking up of the cars, you get like a soft relaunch of the race.
Right.
And in that race would have been great because pull back Max a little bit, get another chance for these drivers to get past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the virtual safety car because I'm always wanting it to turn into a safety car.
Even if like the dude that I like, even if Ollie Behrman was leading the freaking race, I'd still be like, yeah, let's do a safety car because then everyone's going to be dicing with the Haas at the front of the pack.
Yeah.
I love the
We're
dynamic
not
it
biased.
creates.
We want the safety car.
We
no
just
matter
want
what
good.
happens.
We want great racing.
We want great racing, yeah.
And when you've got someone who's freaking 5 minutes in the lead, it's like, yeah, put a safety car out there. What are we going to lose?
Yeah.
Entertainment factor? Freaking what are you thinking?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So I will.
Soapbox. The rant.
I
is done.
digress.
Yeah.
But great race nonetheless. McLaren's, like I said, McLaren's mistake, in my opinion, made it so much more interesting.
And one of their mistakes were, I'm trying to remember, they pitted Lando early too, right before the virtual safety car.
Yes.
And I remember the announcers, and I don't know how I'm getting the wrong broadcast. I want to hear Crofty.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm always hearing the other ones, no matter what.
Gotta click on
channel
the
I'm
remote
switching.
and change it down.
I know how to use the app. For some
This
reason, my
one
app does not
broadcast-
work like everyone else's app.
One broadcast that says live, and then when you click on it, it says one that says international. You click on
I clicked
international.
that. It didn't sound like Crofty. Maybe my.
Oh, it wasn't this weekend. You're
Okay,
right.
so
You're
good,
right. Okay.
good.
You're right. You're right.
Because
This
I
weekend-
clicked to it and I was like, I think I know what I'm doing.
I forgot that he wasn't there this weekend.
Okay, good.
I did listen
Good.
to it on like mute. No offense. No offense.
Crofty or nothing.
Yeah, don't do this
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
Anthony Davidson is one of my favorites though, and he was in the booth as well. But James something rather
Okay.
is the guy who's been the stand-in for Crofty when he has missed races. So
Yeah. Because I switched it to the international.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to hear that lights out and it's away we go.
Yeah.
And it was like feet to the floor and all eyes to the lights. And I'm like, that's not Crofty.
yeah, you're like,
So I'm like,
who's this loser?
But they did say they're like, it's weird. Why are they pitting Lando right now? This
Yeah.
seems a little early. Like
Harry Benjamin is his name. Is
Harry
what Henry
Benjamin.
says.
Wow, producer
I
of the
thought it
week.
was James. Thank you, Henry.
I'm glad that we have producers of the week in our chat.
Yeah.
Last week
Kyle.
was Kyle. This week it's Henry, producer of the week.
We're so grateful for our.
We're gonna start
chat
giving out
producers. Yes. Oh man.
And then it sucked because then the virtual safety car came right out and they wasted that pit stop.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those scenarios. I think it,
And then they pitted Oscar during the virtual safety car, and he had already
but
been.
they did it after,
Yeah.
as opposed
They
to
waited.
right. Yeah, and it's like, what were you doing?
And then he got thrown back. Yeah. That was wild. It's
Every
stupid.
single pit stop decision from McLaren this weekend seemed terrible.
Yeah. Which is not a time that they should be making mistakes.
Yeah.
While they had the advantage, like we've talked about, with this flexi wing, whatever it is, before they make changes in Spain.
Yeah.
Like, why are you making mistakes?
Why is now's not
You
the time.
have the advantage.
Yeah.
You can't play with it.
Yeah.
Get all the points
Get
now
all the points for now.
because it's going to shift. And like with teams like Aston Martin, Williams, and Red Bull looking like they're getting better every race.
They're literally
you can't-
showing up
You can't
all of a sudden.
afford. You can't afford to do that.
No.
Yeah.
So just so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But like again, I'm also one of those guys that's like, you know what? One of these races when it's just a McLaren 1-2 is also boring.
It's
So
also boring. So it's like,
I don't mind Max winning. I also recognize that Max being out for blood and throwing fists, I'm like, this is fun.
still great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And we know he doesn't have the best car. So
the championship is still up for anyone.
right.
And the people in the top three, Oscar, Lando, and Max, are all still pretty close in the points.
Yeah.
So it's still very exciting.
If Charles is anywhere in there, just write him off.
yeah.
Just anyone who's thinking that's happening, just forget it.
It's not happening. Because did I hear this right? At the beginning of the race, they said that, or maybe it was qualifying, they said that Ferrari at Imola, this is the first time that they have never qualified in the top 10 in Italy. I think I heard that right. It also
I
could have
don't
been
know.
like this.
I don't know that
This is the
statistic.
first time in 50 or 70 years that like Ferrari has not qualified in the top 10 at the Imola Grand Prix. And I was like, who? There is some sort of Italian mafia that is out for blood.
Yeah,
because
they're
they did
super
not
pissed.
qualify well.
But
But they got
kudos-
out-qualified by Williams.
Yeah, kudos to Lewis for pulling off a P4. I know that
Yeah.
the VSC and the safety car and a couple of those moves really benefited him to be able to make that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, recovery from P12 starting position was a solid finish.
Yeah.
Something that's interesting though, and I did want to talk to you about that. I'm just remembering.
Yeah.
Spur of the moment here. Yuki Tsunoda's crash
Oh, yes. We skipped that.
was wild.
Crazy.
One of the worst crashes I've seen as far as like the tumble.
The tumble. Yeah.
And what was your initial reaction?
No,
to
it was wild.
Yeah.
He like went end over end and then up into the fence and
Yeah.
then landed back down. It looked gnarly. It wasn't as crazy as Joe Guan Yu's crash.
No.
But like same sphere.
Yeah,
It was crazy. Anytime a driver goes like inverted
Yeah.
in a car, wild.
especially in
and
the
I loved it.
open wheel stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. And he just, would he just like lose control in the corner and then went into the gravel? But he jumped right out.
Yeah.
And again, it made me think like these cars are so safe.
They are pretty safe.
They're getting safer every year.
but here's
Are we even scared?
but here's the thing that I think is interesting and a genuine talking point.
Yeah.
Because so in NASCAR, flaps deploy on the car when it goes sideways or backwards.
Yeah, I've seen it when like it spins around, weird flaps pop up.
Right.
On
And-
the roof and on the sides and stuff that you never knew were there.
Right. And those flaps are engaged to basically keep the car from flipping or catching air.
Okay.
So it's like an air brake.
Interesting. That's a
Right?
cool
It's
design.
a really interesting piece of tech.
Yeah.
And especially when you consider that NASCARs are fat, 5,000 pounds, probably not that heavy.
The
I'm just
drivers?
exa-
Oh, the cars. The cars. Gotcha.
Oh man, that just derailed me so hard. That's so good. No, but so the cars are these overweight pieces of metal, and they designed this, and at 200 miles an hour in a super speedway, they go backwards, and the flaps work. The cars don't roll.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's amazing.
Kinda cool.
It's really surprising. So, there's an interesting question from my dad. Where is F1 and IndyCar on the anti-roll technique? And I know
you can't.
I'm talking to somebody who doesn't care.
Me?
Because you love this.
I'm like, what's
This
the
is the wrong,
opposite?
you're the wrong audience for this conversation.
Can
but-
we have a tech that when they start to spin out, it like hits springs and they flip them? Like it launches them into the air. Can we make them a bit more crazier?
And it's what's his name in Too Fast, Too Furious?
Dom?
No, the Paul Walker's
Brian?
sidekick, in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Ludacris?
No, Ludacris owns the shop. Tyrese.
I don't know the actor.
And
The
he's
actor's
just
name.
like,
I don't know the character's name.
he's just like,
No. What's his name? Roman. Oh, heck
yeah.
yeah.
And he's like, ejectocito, cuz. But
yeah,
that's
dude.
what happens when cars roll
Yeah.
in F1 and IndyCar.
Exactly.
Boing. So, but
Where is the tech to keep them the same side up.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe some of our listeners have seen it, and maybe you have as well. But
Yeah.
like the qualifying for Indy 500 and practice and everything takes place this weekend. They don't race the weekend before the Indy 500. It's all the qualifying and practice and everything leading up Saturday and Sunday.
Oh,
The
really?
weekend before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
It's not
so-
all in one weekend?
No.
Has it always been like that?
It's always been this way. And
But
so, or at
normal
least for a
IndyCar
long time.
races, it's all in one weekend.
Correct.
Okay, so it's just a thing.
But
with
the Indy
IndyCar.
500, they
Okay.
extend quite some way.
Would
we're
be kind
gonna-
of fun just to go to qualifying weekend.
For sure.
Probably not as packed, but it's just as
Not
much
nearly.
speed.
It's so gnarly too because they have to do it's a 4-lap average of speed. It's not a time thing.
Dang, yeah, I'd go do
It's
that.
really gnarly. So and
I
they
keep
had a
getting you off
really
track.
there's a really cool result that I don't want to forget to mention.
Okay.
But Colton Herta
Yeah.
crashed. He spun it around, hit the wall, caught air, flipped upside down, and slid upside down on the racetrack going
Oh, wow.
180 miles an hour.
Crazy.
And so this is part of where that topic of conversation this weekend
Yeah.
was full of open wheel race cars
Yeah, flipping.
sliding upside down with drivers intact, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we have made the survival cell of an open wheel race car pretty robust,
Yeah.
and these drivers aren't getting hurt. Amazingly, Colton Herta went back out and qualified in a backup car,
Oh, far out.
which is gnarly.
That is gnarly.
In the
Yuki-
same day.
Like I said, Yuki Tsunoda popped right out and looked fine.
Right. Like no big deal.
Yeah.
And so it's like these drivers are strong, the cars are robust.
Yeah.
But is there something that still could be done to keep them from being flippable? And is it necessary when the cars are so
I don't
strong?
I'm not an aerodynamicist. I've never designed an F1 car, but it feels like these cars are just designed. There's no room left
Right.
for anything to do other than what their purpose is to keep them on the ground.
That was kind of my initial
driving
thought too.
right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you can't sacrifice any
Every-
surface area on the car
Right.
to do
NASCAR, it
something.
makes sense. There's a roof.
NASCAR makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a McDonald's on wheels.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it makes sense. There's lots of, there's a bathroom and a play place in there.
it's on a lake. It's on 40 acres.
And the driver is eating a Big Mac while swinging around the track. So it makes sense.
This sticker is inconvenient, but I do love Fig Newtons.
But yeah, the Formula One car. It's so sleek and it's just been like carved out by wind tunnels.
Where
But
would you
there's-
put it?
There's no more real estate left for any sort of tech. And they're already trying to save so much weight.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, I think the main thing that scares myself and probably viewers
Yeah.
is that the halo isn't a perfect solution. The tire barrier isn't a perfect solution. And in Yuki Tsunoda's crash, it's like here's a crash that would be a fairly sizable impact.
Mm-hmm.
The energy that is supposed to be absorbed by the tires
Mm-hmm.
works, but it also grabs the car
Mm-hmm.
and careens it multiple times and throws it through the air with him tumbling.
Yeah.
So if he lands upside down on the wrong spot of a barrier, is there injury capabilities from that?
Potentially, I see what you're saying.
So, like,
if he landed on a spike.
Yeah, like a post, right? It's like there's things
Yeah,
holding the
no,
tires in
there
place.
is- there is those things that exist out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And how unfortunate do you have to be to have that happen? But it has to be considered.
Could we just put a little? I mean, then we're getting into like a little just roof on this guy, like a little little thing that goes over the top.
Right. That sounds like your worst nightmare.
Yeah, then it would look like a IMSA, like a WEC kind of
Yeah,
hypercar.
exactly. At that point, it's just enclosed.
Yeah. I mean, this is why we have them race.
Yeah.
Like-
but I know your point is basically like if it wasn't dangerous, it wouldn't be fun to watch.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so there
You
is
might
some
as well
element
just
of that.
put them in 20-mile-an-hour cars
Yeah.
and let them like putter around a track and just be like, who actually was the best?
Just put him in a car that James May thinks
Yeah.
is fast and have Jeremy Clarkson yell
Can we
power.
have James May design a Grand Prix? Power! Yeah, and we're paying them a lot of money to do this, and they are crazy enough to do it. But I get what you're saying. I wonder if there is something that they could do. To me, it seems like all the safety features work together
Right.
to hopefully mitigate any sort of injury. And I think it's doing a good job. The Halo has been the best invention so far,
Right.
recent invention.
Right.
Because like Yuki's spinning sideways, upside down, like his head's not going forward because like the Hans device, right?
Right.
They have like the side cushions, so he's not like smacking around too much.
Right.
He's like bolted in that seat so hard. Then the halo's protecting his head. Like, no wonder he popped out pretty quick.
I mean, and even just
don't know, man.
even just to talk about my own argument,
Yeah.
and against it is that like in NASCAR at the Daytona 500, probably like 4 years ago or something,
Yeah.
driver named Ryan Newman rolled over and then was slammed into on the roof where
Oh,
he's
geez.
sitting by another car at 200 miles an hour.
Oh, geez.
And it collapsed the roof on him. He was completely knocked out. Car went flying. It was such a bad wreck.
Wow. Scary.
And surprisingly, there's a little beam that was reinforced on the roof, designed by him a few seasons earlier,
no
saying,
way.
I don't think this is strong enough. And that's what saved his life.
Gosh, that's crazy.
So, but here's the difference between a 200 mile an hour NASCAR
Yeah.
and a 200 mile an hour F1 car.
Yeah.
If George Russell's in the middle of the Australian Grand Prix track yelling, red flag, red flag, red flag,
Yeah, we all remember. Yeah.
and a driver comes around the corner and slams on the brakes, the car stops.
Yeah.
When you're in an F1 car, the car comes to a stop. A NASCAR, when
Yeah.
you slam on the brakes, they don't stop.
Okay.
They don't stop.
Bit of a different car.
You run into that person.
And then F1 cars also disintegrate.
Right.
A NASCAR is still a hunk of metal.
Yeah, it takes a pretty big
Also,
brunt
like,
of the
if
blow,
you get
but
hit by a Formula 1 car, it's still going to be horrendous. But
Right.
at least it's not as.
you definitely wouldn't want to take an
crazy.
F1 car to the head.
No.
But I definitely think that the odds of that happening are much, much less, given that the car's performance is so much more superior.
Interesting.
So, anyways, just an interesting
don't
safety
know.
topic, given that Yuki's crash was pretty
Yeah.
nuts.
Well, here's another kind of like branch off that conversation. Colapinto crashed.
Yeah, bring Jack Doohan back.
Kind of.
Yeah, like what was the point?
What was the point? Because Doohan had kind of like gotten over crashing.
Yep.
And he was like getting into the car and getting used to it. And now you bring back another rookie and now he's crashing again. And it's
Right.
like, give him enough time that Jack Doohan got and yeah, he's going to be just as good or better. Who knows? But like
Right.
Doohan was there. What was the point?
And the last crash that I can think of with Jack Doohan truly was Suzuka, when he basically proved he had the biggest balls out of anyone on the grid and was like, I'm going to try turn one with the DRS flap open.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it's like, what? You're going to be mad at him for being the freaking most courageous F1 driver?
It's just the Aussie to the max.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I tried it on the simulator, mate, and it worked. So I'm going to go out there, I'm going to slang it into turn one with the DRS flap open and wrangle a crocodile. I'm going to grab my Bowie knife and I'm going to slit its throat.
He almost
And
had
when
it.
I'm finished, I'm going to have the fastest damn lap there is.
Exactly. He almost had it.
He
Yeah.
almost did.
Yeah.
So I'm over here going, yeah, it was too soon.
Too soon. Yeah, interesting. And I mean, Yuki Tsunoda crashing. We all know that like Yuki is way better than Liam Lawson in that seat. But yeah, it's interesting. Like there's still going to be crashes from these people learning these cars.
Right.
And these teams are just so weird in that they have to swap out drivers when just give the driver a little more time.
Doesn't seem like it makes any sense.
Yeah.
And Yuki's been delivering in a fairly consistent manner, more consistent than Sergio. He's been in the points,
Okay.
and he hasn't been eliminated in every Q1
The
appearance.
spotlight is off of him.
Yeah, I agree.
It was crazy. The beginning of the year, all we ever heard about was Liam Lawson and that seat.
Right.
And then Yuki got put in. It's like, everyone
Yeah.
just took a break.
Everyone-
Everyone took a breath out and was
Right.
like, okay, this is going to be fine.
Yeah, Yuki finishes P10 to P6, and it's like, today was a good day.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
Yeah.
And it's like, but Sergio Perez is like, yeah, it was just every week it was Q1 exits
Yeah.
or a crash. And so, yeah, Henry said Yuki has been consistently P10. That is more than Sergio was delivering. It's more than Liam was delivering.
Yeah.
And at this stage, I don't think it's enough to say he doesn't belong.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing rumors of people saying Isaac Hadjar is performing so well in the RB that maybe he needs a look. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Now is
Shut up.
everyone now Helmet Marco?
Yeah,
Is
I'm like,
everyone
since
now like
when?
taking this Red Bull drug?
I also like Isaac Hadjar, but I think it would be a huge mistake to put him in the Red Bull.
yeah.
Like, don't do it yet.
Yeah. Stop with the switching of the seats.
Right.
Just let him sit in the race seat for a season.
Yeah. And Liam Lawson's career is toast, I think.
That's too bad.
Because Isaac Hadjar is crushing it.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing for him.
Yeah, to be demoted from the big team to the
And
little
then
team
to have
and also
a
become
rookie
second
teammate
driver.
that's kicking
Yeah.
your butt.
Speaking of like Red Bull driver, second tier Red Bull drivers. Sorry,
Yes.
Wow, what a mouthful.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Danny Kvyat.
Oh, yeah, he showed up in the Grand Prix? I was like, hey, Mr.
That
Kvyat.
was a weird shot.
The torpedo arrives
yeah.
on scene.
And then he just gets to see Max dominate the race.
yes.
Yeah, in his old seat, maybe. His
Yes,
old, his
still
old
his,
seat.
his previous seat.
Oh,
Yep, that's
wow,
for sure.
Yeah, his old seat and his old wife
And his other seat.
and his old kid and his old.
Is that a really terrible way to put that? Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
So, but here's the thing that's so
Like if Daniel Ricciardo showed up to a race, awesome. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, it's Daniel."
Yeah, yeah.
Danny Kvyat shows up to a race. It's like, ugh.
it's like you were that
Whose garage are you in?
guy. Yeah, he wasn't in Red Bull. I'll tell you that
Yeah,
much.
who invited him?
Yeah, but yeah, it is definitely like, oh, hey, Danny, how's it going? Everyone's talking in that like you're like, is that really your voice? How's it been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You getting up to any interesting hobbies?
Tell your Aunt Joni how you spent your
How's the
Christmas
new
cash.
How's the new girlfriend? She's not she's not Kelly.
Is her name Kelly? That would be weird. The small talk is just so uncomfortable.
That would be weird. It is Kelly.
Oh,
He's just in the weirdest denial of a relationship.
what are you doing these days?
that's
I'm a
so
race car driver. No, you're not. Are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Good
raced
for
under the name
you.
Franz Herman.
Don't Google that, by the way. I was surprised at what I found.
Ooh, nice.
And you flip that name around, and it's not a good person.
Oh, is that why Max picked it?
He said that he picked it because he just wanted a name that was so German that someone wouldn't pick up on the fact that he was racing that day.
Okay.
The main, and I some hindsight is 2020 now that we've had Max actually at a race weekend and had to answer questions about it. But it was because of the scheduling. It was less about him when he was there on the actual day. It was that he was scheduling a time to race a GT car on the track, and he didn't want to, the whole crew that was involved was like, well, if we're going to have a media circus and fans galore if we say Max Verstappen has a track at Nordschleife on this day. So they
Okay.
put it under name
They book it
Franz
under a different
Herman,
name.
so that way people wouldn't show up.
Yeah, that makes
That
sense.
was kind of the point, and so they
Yeah.
picked a very German name
Yeah, that makes sense.
for that reason.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Cool.
it's a war person out of a certain country.
Okay.
It was a high-ranking officer. So I
Okay.
was like, oh, that's not a good choice.
Yeah. Helmet was proud.
Yeah, that definitely came to mind when I read it. So, but yeah, Henry says that Alpine needs to be studied for future teams on how not to go about racing.
What do you think he means by that?
Well, multiple things.
The driver situation,
Yes.
but not the team principal situation.
But we're not talking about Flavio. If you listen to our last episode, we know we're on board.
fans.
Big Flav guys.
the Flab Gav, dude. Freaking love the Flab, the five Flab, the Flab. This podcast is now called Flab Boys.
It's the Flav ones.
The Flav ones. Dude. Flavio would bring us on.
Yeah, he would.
He'd be like, "Oh,
he's the new host."
And be like, "Yeah, we'll come hang out with you."
Yeah, exactly. We're down.
Yeah.
We're there. So Flav, we'll come to Kenya. But Alpine's obvious structure issues, the hiring and firing of every single person alive.
Yeah.
But I am very curious to see how it goes forward with Flavio at this point. But Mick Doohan
Yeah.
apparently reshared some article or something that said apparently Alpine is a pay drive team now,
Oh,
kind of
he's kind of like
taking shots at Franco for
Okay.
being, because everyone knows that when Franco got hired at Williams, he brought something like $4 million to the team.
Oh, I see. Everyone was saying Mick Doohan was a pay driver.
Jack.
Jack.
Yeah. Jack.
Well,
Doohan.
yeah,
Mick
Jack
is his
Doohan.
dad.
Mac,
yeah,
Mick's
yeah,
his
yeah.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but not quite $4 million, at least to my knowledge.
Okay.
But, Mick was interviewed later about it and was kind of like, oh, I actually just reshared something that someone else had said. Those aren't my words.
Yeah.
But I think he probably had to backpedal because his son's still on the team.
Is he reserve driver?
Still
or whatever?
reserve driver
Okay,
for the team.
Yeah.
So it is like, got to play nice. But if I'm Jack Doohan, I'm also not going to be on the team anymore.
Yeah.
Good chance I'm going to go shopping. Mm-hmm. See if someone else will hire me.
Yeah.
And I think he's worth looking at. I think other teams should look at Jack Doohan. He really didn't do bad.
Yeah. And when there's people like Nico Hulkenberg potentially leaving on like
Right.
lower tier teams,
Yeah.
maybe Carlos Sainz does get picked up by Mercedes. Or
Right.
maybe Williams crushes it, but whatever. Like,
Right.
yeah, he could go to a Williams.
There's
or-
plenty of shifting still to come.
Yeah.
Which means the seats are going to open and it's worth sticking around and having your resume properly put together.
Yeah.
So,
But Alpine, no, man, Aston Martin. Dude, they came out crazy.
yeah.
It was great to see Alonso qualifying in the top 10. What did he get, 6th? Dude, and Lance Stroll made Q3.
Yeah.
See, maybe if you give Lance a fast car,
No, don't start that.
maybe just a little chaos.
No, I legit was like, when it came to qualifying and I was looking at the times as they came up on the board, and Lance's time was like 500ths or a few thousandths off of Alonso. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
good work.
yeah,
Imola is not an easy racetrack. This is one of the things that's funny about Lance too, though, is that it's like Lance shows up at certain racetracks like Brazil and he drives intentionally into the dirt, and you're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
and that's the impression we get from Lance.
Right. But then he shows it at Imola, and it's like, well,
Where's
that was
who's
almost
this guy?
Fernando Alonso's lap time. That was
yeah.
nuts, man. So I agree with you. It is surprising how hit or miss he can be. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, did Adrian Newey have something to do with the upgrade? Everyone's like, he's not going to work on this
he's
car.
only working on the 2026 car, and he doesn't talk to anyone else on the team or the organization. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, right.
You think they're going to have like the best, most valuable car designer in the history of F1, and they're not going to bring him in for a meeting
They're
every
not
now
going
and
to be
then?
like, 5 minutes. I just need 5 minutes of your time.
Hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I would change this, I would put this over here, and then I would do that, blah, blah, blah. And
then
like,
get
he
back
could
to work.
literally make such an impact by just doing that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I have no doubt.
Yeah. If they're saying anything otherwise, they're lying. And they had a huge jump in performance.
Yeah.
Man, it makes it hopeful that 2026 could be a wild year for Aston Martin.
I think it could be.
See Fernando win a race or two.
I am super here for it, obviously. But like, look, an upgrade to go from being like Q1 exits
Yeah.
to Q3 competitive is huge.
Yeah.
Is a huge upgrade. And so you and I have both read Adrian's book to be under some impression that he had no involvement in the upgrade is like, it seems like it doesn't make any sense to me
Yeah,
at
it doesn't
all.
make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a business and your business is struggling and you hire a guy who's really good at marketing or really good at sales or really good at finances, you're not going to have him look at every part of the company when you hire him in.
Right.
And give like advice everywhere you go.
Right.
And then get him on the project he needs to be on. Like, yeah, you're stupid.
Yeah.
It's a business.
It's definitely a business.
And you have employees and you use them the best you can. And Lawrence Stroll knows that.
Adrian has a living quarters at Aston Martin's headquarters.
Is that a joke?
No. That
Oh.
was he wanted a place to be able to sleep at the
Gosh.
factory.
Dude, he is cooking.
You're
He
telling me this
is.
dude isn't looking at the current car?
Right.
You're smoking crack. There's no
Man.
way.
What if it's just this crazy thing where they put him in this little living quarters and he comes out with the crazy fastest car that has ever been seen?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be just wild? He's like, here's everything I've been dreaming up for the past 10 years at Red Bull.
Right.
But I hate Helmut Marko. And so I'm just going to do it.
I'm going to put him
And we're going to bury them 6
put
feet
him in his
deep.
grave.
What is the Henry Ford or whatever say in Ford v Ferrari?
Yeah.
We're going to bury him 6 feet deep under the finish line at like Le Mans. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're like, well, that was gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian knew he's doing that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to bury him at the Ostrike ring. You're like, you mean the Red Bull ring? And he's like, I don't call it that. We're done with them. they're finished.
What if, okay, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. What if Williams continues to like have crazy performance?
Right.
Which is not out of the question. Alex Albon is crushing it.
He's doing great.
And yeah, they outqualified Ferrari. Ferrari's going the other direction.
Right.
What if Williams has a steady incline
Right.
towards the championship? Aston Martin comes out strong. And then next year we have a Williams and Aston Martin like championship like duel.
I don't know if my heart can handle that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because I will be like, I don't know what to do here.
It's not out of the question.
No.
Yeah, which is exciting.
Which is great. I mean,
Yeah.
again, kudos to James Vowles and what he's being capable of, what he's accomplishing.
And the fact that Ferrari's not even in our conversation right now.
It's
It's like
wild.
there's hopeless. It's just hopeless.
It is pretty hopeless. And again, like I said, Catalonia is the target for the flexi wing change. And I am hopeful that something goes their direction.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like the emphasis is on this year. And again, strategically, you show up at the beginning of the year and your car is not the McLaren.
Yeah.
As a team, what do? We will facilitate a 4th place finish or 3rd place finish in this constructor championship, get our wind tunnel time, and come out of the gate in 26.
Jeez.
You know that they're writing that off somewhere around now.
Oh no.
They have to.
Gosh, I guess
If they want to come out strong next year, they have to pivot focus somewhere.
sucks.
Yeah.
Why is it that Ferrari can't be competitive in Formula One when they're competitive in like
When they've
endurance
never
or like
stopped being in
GT
Formula
racing?
One.
Like, aren't they just solid in other racing sports right now?
They've been really good in WEC. They've back-to-back years in Le Mans, which is really difficult to do.
Yeah. How do they suck at? Like, I feel like the sport they invented.
Yeah, right. Right. They are like the Genesis.
Yeah.
And they've been since the Genesis at least and been so consistently in F1.
It's too bad.
The thing that I was going to say about the Indy 500 and I didn't want to forget.
Yeah.
So this is the first time in Indy 500 history, which sounds like it may be a lie, but it is to my knowledge.
Okay, yeah.
The first time Robert Schwartzman, who was a reserve driver for Ferrari,
Okay.
and was also, I think, a reserve driver for Aston Martin, qualified pole. He's the first rookie. And for Prema, the F2 team that started in IndyCar this year. So this is Prema's first year in IndyCar. They stole 2 F1 driver hopefuls, put them in IndyCars, Callum Ilott and Robert Schwartzman. And Robert Schwartzman qualified pole at the Indy 500.
Wow.
Huge. It's massive.
Wow.
McLaren has been in this sport for several years now and
Yeah.
really fought hard to be in that position
Okay.
and been pretty
Wow.
hit or miss, not nearly this successful. For Prema to get it right on their first freaking year and have Robert Schwartzman be a rookie do this, I'm stunned.
That's crazy. Where is this Robert Schwartzman from?
Oh, you're gonna hate me for this because
Sounds American.
Potential. It sounds like he's Jason Schwartzman's brother and the lead
That's what I'm-
singer of Rooney.
Yeah,
but
that's what
that
I'm
is
thinking
not
for.
because that is
Yeah. He went to Rushmore High.
We got him, Dirk. We got him. But let me see. I'll pull it up.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm sure Henry's gonna hate me for this because I think he's a Ferrari Academy.
Robert, it's got to be either British or American.
He's Russian Israeli.
Russian Israeli.
Yeah,
That was not any sort of guess that I would have.
right.
Interesting.
He was a Ferrari Academy driver, raced for Prema, and he has been a Haas test driver in the past, so he has raced
Oh, okay.
at Haas briefly.
Interesting.
But yeah, but I do believe that
Kind of cool.
he had to. He currently competes under the Israeli flag because of the Russian sanctions.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, impressive.
Right.
Also impressive still to the fact that every time I hear of a Formula One driver most of the time through you, when they go from Formula One to IndyCar or to endurance racing,
Right.
they crush it.
Yeah, they're usually the best of the best.
They're the best of the best.
Right.
And if you forget that, yeah, The evidence is there.
Marcus Ericsson, who raced at Alfa Romeo with Charles Leclerc, he was teammates with Charles for his rookie season.
Yeah.
Marcus races for Andretti in IndyCar. He's won the Indy 500.
Oh, okay.
And he's won a handful of other races.
Antonio Giovinazzi won Le Mans.
Yeah, he won Le Mans with Ferrari.
Yeah.
And so like this is just the way it is.
Fernando Alonso crushed it in IndyCar, didn't he?
And he won in Le Mans.
And he won in Le Mans.
Yeah.
Nico Hulkenberg won in Le Mans.
Yeah, these guys, they are the best of the best.
Do you think they get one of these Formula One drivers when they're like either like let go or they're like on an off season and they just like, are so stoked that they have him on their team?
I mean, it's Kevin Magnussen right now has been competing with BMW and he's
on
killing
BMW,
it.
yeah.
He's doing great.
I guess it's like if LeBron, I hate that. I guess if it's like Steph Curry, got hired onto your minor league team,
but like
you're like D League basketball team.
It's so wild though because
or he's playing like a 3-on-3 tournament in Japan, and you're like, I have LeBron on my team,
right?
Yeah,
even though it's motorsport, and motorsport is still pedals and steering wheel and whatever.
There's still a whole team that goes behind building a car,
and it's such a different approach.
Yeah,
like in endurance racing. It's just like being a sprinter, like F1's being a sprinter, and then endurance racing is just like it sounds. It's more
Marathon
of your
running.
marathon, long distance style. So when you get into a race car, Fernando Alonso has to learn that like this is not punishing the tires every lap. It's a completely different driving characteristic and dynamic. You share a car with 3 other people, so your setup and what you like in a car has to be adapted across 3 people who meet in the middle.
And if you make a mess in that seat,
Yeah.
the next driver has to sit
You
in that
pee
mess.
in the seat. Real dick move, bro. Really not cool.
That has to have happened.
Oh, it
that's
happens
bad.
all the time.
Oh, I don't want to be an endurance racer anymore.
No, but yeah, right. But I think that there's an interesting piece of that I feel
Yeah.
like people don't really consider. But what I do compare it to Steph Curry, I think it's more similar to Michael Jordan going and playing baseball and being unsuccessful. It's like you were top of your game here. Here's another sport that requires athleticism. So show us your stuff. But this is really hard and super different.
It's or like Bo Jackson.
Right. Yeah.
Football and baseball and crushing it in both.
Right. Which is probably more adjacent than the Michael Jordan reference. But
no, I get what you're saying.
it's definitely
they're different disciplines for sure.
You can be a great athlete and still really have a hard time. So I think when you see F1 drivers go into sports car racing and deliver, it's like, wow, that weighs a lot more than an F1 car.
Yeah.
And it handles way different, and you have to share it.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Imagine Max Verstappen sharing a car with 3 teammates. Those 2 teammates are Sergio Perez and Yuki Tsunoda, and they absolutely can't deliver.
Yeah. Remember when Kimi Räikkönen did rally?
Yeah,
Man, these drivers.
and crushed it.
Yeah. I wonder if like they learn stuff in those disciplines and they come back even better. I don't know.
I love the story, and maybe I've told you this before, but Carlos Sainz Sr. and Carlos Sainz Jr. raced an ice rally race on a track together.
It wasn't like the celebrity F1 heritage stuff.
It was something that they just did as like an exhibition thing.
Okay.
And by the time that they were wrapping up, Carlos Sainz Jr.'s lap times were right with Carlos Sainz Sr. And it was making him really mad. They're really competitive.
Yeah.
And they get out of the cars and his time is like dead even or faster. And he says, "Oh, you think you're good, do you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do. I think I can do what you do." And he goes, "Okay, let's run it backwards." And you only get 1 lap. And in that 1 lap, he was seconds faster because he's a rally car driver. So his adapting and understanding how to read a racetrack is so different from Carlos Sainz Jr.
Yeah.
Junior's an F1 driver, so he memorizes braking points and pushes it to the limit every lap a little further.
Yeah.
But you give him 1 lap on terrain he doesn't know, and he's nowhere near his dad.
Yeah. Interesting.
So super different
sport,
characteristics.
different sport.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I'm sure he learns a lot from his dad in that sense.
Yeah.
But super interesting.
That's very cool.
Anyways, we've made it to an hour.
Oh, wow. This has been fun.
Yeah.
We have a question.
Let's get to the
we
listener
have a listener question. And the question was, I had to look up, and do some research for this question, but which driver was the cutest at the track? The question is
this
submitted by
weekend, or-
fan listener Sarah, who writes in.
Thank you, Sarah, for the question.
Yeah, thank
and
you for the
writing in.
question. And honestly, great question.
Great question.
And it's also interesting because I looked at the F1 account where they had the drivers all showing up to media day, which is usually a day they all show up in their like
Swag.
duds. They're
Yeah,
swagging in.
Yeah.
This time, not a lot.
Yeah,
Not a lot
yeah.
showing up in their nice threads.
Which is interesting. It seemed like Italy.
Italy,
Right.
And Lewis coming hot off the Met Gala.
Yeah. So
Maybe
like,
he was tired.
Yeah,
maybe
maybe
he
he's
was
just-
kind of done with fashion for the week.
a triple race. It's a triple header. Get me
It's a triple fashion header, then a triple race. He's like, he's exhausted. His two disciplines, clothes and cars.
This is a lot to ask. I'm just going to the racetrack.
Yeah. But I will say, so first off, Lewis.
Yeah.
He wore like the classic Ferrari shirt with a Ferrari hat, which is what he's been kind of rocking lately.
Yeah.
He's really loving his brand right now.
Yeah.
Loving the team.
Which I'm
Making
here
the
for
most
it.
out of being on a Ferrari
Yeah.
team.
Why not?
He was looking good. He had some really nice black leather boots. I imagine they're very expensive.
Probably some Italian
Yeah, Italian
leather or something.
Yeah,
Right.
be so great if they, I don't know what brand it is.
Yeah. Don't either.
Gucci.
Yeah.
I want to say Louis Vuitton, but that sounds French.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
yeah. Prada. They're probably Prada.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next best dress I would say is Esteban Ocon.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, still kind of dressed down, but showed up with some. This is great. I'm just describing these looks.
Yeah. I'm like, no pictures.
Do you want me to show you
Yes,
pictures? I'll show you pictures.
okay, all right,
so
here we
you can
go.
talk about it. Like
Yeah.
nice little jean. Oh yeah, you look it up on F1.
Yeah.
Got like just the t-shirt. It was hot, but
Yeah.
like the t-shirt looks like a designer, kind of like loose fitting, nice cotton t-shirt.
Yeah. One of these guys.
Yeah, everyone else is just doing like their
Teams.
team gear. As like
Yeah.
Highjar's just in like team gear.
Yeah.
Like team gear. Everyone's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
wearing their race shirt.
Lame.
Yeah, kind of lame. Except third place,
Yuki.
Liam Lawson.
Oh, okay.
Wearing like a jean jacket, jean short, or jean pants.
you wear jorts.
Wearing jorts. He shows up.
He's just full dad. Tall white socks and just a bag of golf bats. He's ready for a weekend out at the course.
I mean, he realizes he doesn't have long left to live. He's already retired.
he's like, I'm going to spend so much money on clothes because there's no way I'm going to have this again.
And then third place, I'll give it to Kimi Antonelli. He had like, not like the team
yeah.
shirt, but like Adidas gear for Mercedes. That
Yeah.
looks kind of like cool. I was like, ooh, I want that jacket.
Yeah, that jacket's cool.
Yeah, I was. So good question from Sarah.
Great question.
I imagine this is a great question for next week as well, because next week is Monaco.
yes.
I imagine Lewis, if he better show up in something fancy.
yeah.
And they're all going to be there. There's got to be some event where they're all showing up in something fancy.
Yeah. And I feel like this is an opportunity to kind of show off that, like, Ferrari, like, lifestyle. Show up to cool events in a cool car. Feel like we haven't seen we've seen Charles drive a Ferrari.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Lewis show up in any Ferraris in public yet. So
No.
I feel like this is a great opportunity for him
Yeah.
to do that.
Is Lando Norris going to drive his little go-kart buggy around? He's going to crash it?
Yeah, he's gonna crash his F40 into Lewis. GTI Brandon, thank you for tuning in. Says that he heard that Liam bought a C4 Corvette, and good for him. I
If that's not the sign of some guy going through a midlife crisis who's already given up and retired on life,
he's just
I don't know what is.
I'm losing my job.
I got to buy the poor man's supercar.
I've got this new coworker, and he's really making me look bad. So the only way that I'm gonna win everybody over is if I buy a yellow plastic American
sports car. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's my dad's dream car.
You're just gonna be like,
That's why I bought it.
I thought he was gonna like lots of news press. Oh, you got a new car, and he's like talking it up. Then finally, at the end of the news press, he's just like, "It's actually my dad's."
It's like, I didn't even buy it.
I have to bring it back by 10 tonight.
I have a date.
I'll say this is a perfect Liam Lawson impression.
There's no New Zealander in this.
It's my dad's. I have to get it back. If I scratch it, he'll beat me.
He's gonna have my head.
Please.
Super
Whoever
scary.
is the valet, please. Keep it nice.
I will say this is one of those weird things about like when you've lived in Australia or New Zealand that you learn living down there is that they love American cars. Like in America, we love a good import for something that like they didn't make here.
Yeah.
Ford Escort, rally car style, super cool import car. Japanese Skylines, R32s, R34s as they become available. And things like that are huge hits, tuner cars, things that were never made here. But in Australia, you go down there and they're like, yeah, mate.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, mate? How you going?
I imported a 67 fastback.
Oh, Struth.
Yeah, mate. You wouldn't believe it. We're all up at a set of lights next to a Falcon and they about
Far out.
crap them pants.
Oh, fair income.
Yeah. Snap the speedo off the line, mate.
So much power, the chassis twisted coming off the line. So much torque.
Yeah. Wasn't that in Fast and the
Yeah, it's
Furious?
Fast and Furious.
They're like, mate, nar,
Yeah.
nar.
Yeah, no, that's totally real.
It's original, mate. It's not from Fast and the Furious. Never seen that movie.
Do you know what? See, the move Liam should, and this would be a fun question we should ask. What cars should each driver be showing up to in Monaco?
Oh, that's a great question.
That's a fun question.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll save it for next week.
Yeah.
But we'll give you a little teaser. I'll give you what I think Liam should be pulling up in.
Yeah.
Is some sort of like tuned out, very high power, huge engine, like Ute.
Yeah.
Some like,
No, I know who's going to show up in that, and it's not him.
who is it?
It's Valtteri Bottas.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah.
He's not even a driver, but he's still going to show up at a super high-powered
Yeah,
ute.
and it's going to be a baller move. And
Yeah.
You're going to love him for it.
Yeah.
Liam, you should take the opportunity.
He should take the opportunity, but he won't.
Yeah, represent your hemisphere.
He's going to show up at a C4 Corvette.
Yeah. Lame.
Brandon's probably like, well, I wish I didn't comment. It's like, I like those.
Last time I watched your stupid show. Delete.
This is now the second time.
Unsubscribe.
This is the second time we've attacked a commenter. I'm sorry, Brian. I did not mean to.
But no, great question. Thank you for the fan question. Feel free to submit questions to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? I mean, we have Monaco this week.
Yeah. What do you think?
So last thing, is Monaco implementing the new thing where they have to do 2 pit stops this year?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked that up yet.
I feel like I might have heard that rumor. If
Anyone in the comments?
chat can like
Any of our producers in the chat.
the only show where everyone's a producer.
What a fact check for us.
But if that's the case, even if like it's a hypothetical, could be a way to shake up the Monaco Grand Prix. Because honestly,
yes, they are.
They are.
Yes.
Awesome. Because
Thanks,
sounds
Henry.
fun. That sounds fun.
Producer
Every
Henry.
year for fans, we all know that like Monaco is the boring Grand Prix. There are been some shakeups,
Right.
but like you watch qualifying, and qualifying is like the highlight.
Right.
But this might shake it up.
Yeah, I mean, 2 pit stops is just plenty of time for the wheel won't come off type
Yeah.
of situations.
Ferrari is sweating bullets right now.
Yeah, they're like-
that they have to have a strategy that requires 2 pit stops.
They're
in
like,
Monaco.
we need 6 more clowns. We do not have enough clowns for this
We
pit
need
stop
one more
strategy.
car to hold 6 more clowns, and they
Yeah.
all pile out of the car at the Monaco Grand Prix.
All 3 tire compounds have to be used in the race.
That's for real?
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
So do you go hard and work your way soft? This tire compound talk has been removed from the schedule. We can't handle it on the fast one.
the other way. Okay.
I wouldn't finish on the hards. That's a terrible idea. It's not as fast.
Okay.
So, all right, yeah, we'll leave the rubber here,
Okay.
where the rubber meets the road,
Perfect.
and compounds.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah.
What do you predict for Monaco, though?
Really solid qualifying. I want to say Oscar. And then if Oscar can get that qualifying, and then, but it's going to be Max. Max is going to pull it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, unfortunately,
Yeah.
if I'm predicting, I feel like Max is gonna beat everyone.
He's going to blitz a really good qualifying lap. And then
where
once
he-
you're in front
he's
in
a
Monaco,
freak.
you're in front.
He's a freak at Monaco.
Yeah, it's true.
So I feel like this is probably gonna be the Max show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cheering for Oscar this weekend.
The biggest and funnest upset would be Kimmy.
Kimi or Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
If
Holy cow.
these upgrades for some reason rock in Monaco, I would be screaming.
Alonso with his elbows out fighting for his life at Monaco would
Yeah.
be the best.
Greatest.
I would be on my edge of the seat
Yes.
for the whole race.
I
Screaming.
want the rematch that we kind of got a few years ago in that race where it rained and Aston just called him in too soon, and it was
that's
just
right.
It's like we were so close to a Fernando Alonso
dang.
win.
Okay.
So
Okay, that'd be fun.
fingers crossed.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Wait, Max, you're supposed to talk and tell them to subscribe and do things.
Yeah, that's right. Like and subscribe, share us, listen to Peter Cetera. Go back, check out Glory of Love if you haven't. It's an amazing song. Follow up, send us any other 80s love ballads that you think should be listened to constantly. And we'll catch you next time. Yacht Rock for Monaco. And what? For Monaco?
More Yacht Rock.
Yacht Rock for Monaco. That'd be great. Let's go.